So we begin with this small group employed by the church heading to the small village of Otterdale. As you get nearer to the village, the ground slopes down into a gradual valley. You're following a small stream called the Little Calder that appears to feed into the lake known as the Calder Water. As you head down into this gradually sloping valley, the cold water from this river meeting up with the Calder water and the warm air around it seems to suffuse the entire area in this thick coating of low-lying mist that hangs over the valley. Even in the middle of the day, as it is now, as you start descending into the valley, the sunlight becomes very diffuse as it's being spread about by this mist, and sound seems to be slightly muffled as you head down into this misty valley. Just up ahead of you, you can see a small village. There appear to be sticks or posts hammered into the ground around it, and on several of them you can see these lanterns, gloombug lanterns with this soft green glowing light emanating from it. There's a sort of damp feeling from the mist in the air, and as you head down in there, your armour, your kit, etc. will quickly gain like a sheen of moisture on it. As you walk, any of you who are more inclined to the natural way of thinking, as you look around, you'll see patches almost everywhere of mushrooms, funguses, moulds, etc. that seem to be thriving in the damp conditions of this valley.
I would actually go down and try to collect some of the more appealing looking mushrooms, and trying to look if I can find something which I may use for one of my special purposes.
That is absolutely fine. Okay, as you're searching around these mushrooms, you notice one which appears to have this almost like lime green colour with white spots all over it, and it's quite a large sort of fleshy mushroom, and as you pick it up and you sort of give it like a gentle squeeze in your like gloved hand, a very sort of pale green fluid or water runs out of it, and there's a slightly strange sort of almost like herbal smell emanates from it.
Can I identify it?
Okay, you think that it's not strictly poisonous. You think this is a green cap mushroom. It's not dangerous. It's not deadly. However, people who ingest it without it being like properly cooked and prepared it has like a hallucinogenic effect on people.
Okay, I'm looking up and I point at it. That could be useful later. I'm smiling up at Tiberius.
Useful in what manner?
Maybe we can distract someone with it.
Distract someone with a mushroom?
Is he near me when he comes back with that? Because I will slap it out of his hand.
What's your problem, Dane?
Don't touch that pig and shit.
I'm fairly sure that mushrooms don't have the capability for a theological, standing.
After a little more discussion about the theological merits of various mushrooms, the group hear the sound of soft lowing or mooing in the mist, and Dane decides to investigate. Moving further in, he encounters a man attempting to herd a large group of mud cows, these strange crosses between a rhinoceros and domestic cattle, using a crooked cane. He doesn't seem to have noticed you approach. He's like facing away from you as he's like prodding these cows. Most of them just appear to be grazing on the damp grass, the mushrooms around, etc. One of them appears to have sort of wandered a little bit away from the rest of the herd. You'd say it's probably about 10 of them, and he's sort of like trying to steer it back towards the rest of the herd.
Okay. Peasant, he calls out.
He sort of turns round, looks in your direction, and he's like, "Oh, hello there.
Are we near Ola?
Otterdale? Do you mean, sir?"
Yes.
He says, "Oh, you see them lights in the distance there? Just keep going towards it. Follow the little calder. You can't go far wrong." So if you come up by the tooth, then you've gone too far.
The tooth.
Oh yeah, the tooth. Says it's this big rock thing. Looks a bit like sticking up out of the ground. Looks a bit like a fang. That's why we call it the tooth. You see. So if you've gone too far to the south if you see that, but like you stick near the stream, you'll be right.
You know about any old ruins around here?
He says, "Well, we did have a fella who there's a lot of like outlying farms around here. You know, people on the slopes of the valley and that, like grazing their cattle, etc. Like myself. We did have one fella where bit of a loner came into the village. Oh, must have been about a week or two ago now, and well, he said he'd found something. Well, I certainly know from what I didn't see him myself, mind, but what I've heard, when he came into town, he was like splashing a load of like weird coins around and talking about the fact he were going to be rich. So I assume he found something, but I don't really know any more about it."
I look up and down at the person. I assume he doesn't look rich.
He definitely doesn't look rich. He's wearing sort of like fairly threadbare clothes that he's obviously like made himself. He has like a cap on. You can see most of the stuff that he's wearing has like multiple patches and repairs on, probably due to the damp. To be honest, it wouldn't be terribly good for cloth. He certainly doesn't look wealthy.
I assume you didn't all get rich then.
He says, "Well, no, I certainly didn't," and he has a bit of a chuckle. He says, "Mind you," he says, "about a week ago, we did have some outsiders come into the village. You'd obviously heard about his discovery, and well, they splashed around a fair bit of coin. You like buying food and all that, and so they were going to go and visit him up on the farm, the old Garbett farmstead. But well, I ain't seen them since, so I don't know what happened to them."
And where's this Garbett farm?
He says, "Oh, but it's just to the south, like on the southern slope of the valley."
Far away?
Well, it's within walking distance.
Well, what is that? Is that an hour? Is it a day?
He says, "Well, it depends on your speed of walking. If you got a brisk walk around you, it should only take you a few hours."
Okay, well, I'm sure you have. He looks at him. Sons, family.
Oh yeah, down in the village, they're actually getting ready for a bit of a celebration down there. You know, after all, with these folk coming through and like buying all this food and that and like equipment, and obviously these coins being splashed around. Well, it's more money than Otterdale's had in like years. So, well, the headsman of the village, well, old Brooksy, he's throwing a bit of a celebration. You'll probably hear it when you get a bit closer. I think they're going to have some people like playing some music and stuff like that, you know. Bit of a festival to celebrate the good fortune, you know, lift our spirits. Whilst this is going on and Primus takes forward Dane's horse, the brothers Gallus are engaged in conversation.
I guess I just like, well, I hope the tavern missus is prettier this time than the last.
Yes, Wolfric, but I would say that tavern misses are not the thing that we should be thinking about. We should surely be thinking about the quest at hand and the saving of the country.
How does where were we again? How does doing
Otterdale.
this save the country? I mean, really, Tiberius. We
But
have mushrooms and mud cows.
yes, but a vast journey starts with very small steps.
After some discussion with the farmer, Albert Pritchard, they hear about another farmer, Ebenezer Garbett, who apparently made a discovery of some ruins near to his property on the southern slopes of the valley, and came into town quite in his cups, spreading about loads of strangely minted gold coins. Considering this, Dane orders that the farmer, Albert, must lead them to the Garbett farmstead, which he agrees to do and takes them southwards to the gently rolling slopes of the valley. In the distance you can see what appears to be a small, isolated building. It's quite ramshackle looking. Looks as though it's been built of a mixture of like scavenged stone, wood, etc. The old man's sort of like leading you towards it. You can just see it sort of looming out of the mist ahead of you. And the old man suddenly stops and he's like, "Oh, that's odd." And you see him sort of like, he like cocks his head and he's looking around. He says, he says, "Next to me, old Ebenezer's got one of the largest herd of mud cows in the valley. And, well, I should have heard from mine back there. Well, they do tend to make a noise when they're eating and that, but can't hear anything." And he stops and listens, and you can just hear like faint sounds coming from the village to the northwest of you as you're sort of stood
that
on
certainly is troublesome. I suppose you should be ready for possible battle then.
The old man looks shocked when you say that. He's like, "What, me, sir?"
No, unless you want to be levered in as a peasant soldier.
"Well, no, sir. I'm a simple farmer. I don't go in for any of that sort of thing."
The second Dane says it way up, I'll be like, "Right, you are." And just gonna like take my sword out.
I draw a sword which looks like a gladius.
After some discussion, Tiberius puts his well-known tracking skills to use and locates the tracks of a herd of mud cows that were apparently being led to an area near the farm. After some discussion with Dane, they decide to follow the tracks.
So, yeah, he probably just grunted something and rode off.
Okay, so as you head towards this farmstead, you spot, Dane, what appears to be a mud cow lying on its side, unmoving. So between you and the farmstead, as you ride closer, you can see that this creature is obviously dead, and there appears to be a thick growth of mould and fungus over the corpse. The group quickly locate other mud cow corpses nearby, similarly overgrown with mould. Primus, taking out his knife, slices off a large piece of the mould to examine it. As you cut it off, there's like this, and this little sort of like cloud of smoke seems to come out of it and sort of like whooshes all around you.
I am able to apply poisons and shit like that. I know how to handle them, though I don't have a risk to get... I assume I know how to handle this stuff.
Indeed. You turn your face away as these spores, and you sort of hold it out as these spores puff out of this mould.
Okay. I've also got increased resistance to poisons, but yeah. Can I identify what kind of mold this is?
It's not something you've seen before. However, given that like these tracks are fairly fresh, as Tiberius said, you would know that normally, even in damp conditions like this, it would take like a long time for animals to get such a covering of mould on the bodies. Like the process of decay appears to have been sped up somehow. Okay, as you head towards this farmhouse, it's very small. It's effectively a small stone building with like a shed on the side of it. As you get nearer, you can see the place looks to be an absolute mess. The wooden door is hanging off on the front of it. You can see there's more of this mould growing on the door, and even in between the sort of cracks and gaps of the stonework.
Can we peek inside?
Yep, not a problem. You peek inside. Everything inside has this sort of fuzzy carpeting of mould, but you can just about make out there appears to be the remnants of some sort of animal pelt on the floor, and there's what looks to be, it might have been a bedroll, you're not sure because it's got that much mould on it at the far end of the chamber, and the chamber itself is only like about sort of 25 feet long and about sort of 15 feet wide. You can see what looks like a small wooden